It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmick Voice. Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmick Voice. This is Season 6, Episode 21. I am here with my co-host, Chris Natalini.
What's up, everybody?
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back, everyone, to another show. Chris, my good man, non-AI existing person, how are you?
I think I'm okay.
Are you sure? Did you put in the right parameters?
Right? It's like that Discover commercial, right, that happened at the Super Bowl. Well, how do I know you're not a robot?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I know we're going to all have to start checking ourselves. Maybe it's us. Maybe it's somebody in this room.
Right.
Right, like at the movies. Somebody in this room betrayed us. And everybo's looking around like, I don't know. It wasn't me. Who turned off the lights? I don't know. So, it's crazy.
It's unbelievable. It is crazy. It is. I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's, like I said, we're creeping up the summer. This is my time because I like the heat. I mean, I know they do Christmas in July, and I'm probably the only person in a 60,000 mile radius that actually celebrates it, but if they could move Christmas to when the Lord was actually birthed, it would be easier for me. It would be easier for me because I like the heat and I like Christmas. We could put it all together.
You and the Hallmark Channel, you guys celebrate Christmas in July.
Well, they do. Good. I mean, they've actually, because before it was only like a week, and it was 2 weeks. Now it's all July, and then they have brand new stuff. It's amazing. It just is.
As it should be.
As it should be, man. Christmas should be.
As it should be.
Like all the time. That's the way I look at it.
You be baking and eating Christmas cookies all year.
All year, yeah. I mean, but listen, as of yesterday, we actually finished our Christmas cookies and treats. They're all gone. I mean, we literally make enough that lasts probably December, January, February, and the beginning of March is sometimes we're finishing up. Now, during COVID, I had stuff until like the end of April, beginning of May. I mean, we were just baking nonstop. But what else did you have to do?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That is very true. You just end up baking and baking and baking. That is 100% the truth. 100%.
Yeah, but actually it's probably a good thing. It's the stuff's finally out of the house. Whew. So I can start, maybe getting my fitness back together again. But it's tough. It's, when you get to this age, you start looking. Guys our age, not that we're a fitness show now, but guys our age, they started checking out at 40, and we're way past 40. Like by 42, they already got the dad bod. They're sitting on the couch and whatever. And so I totally I'm totally understanding why guys go, you know what, that's just way too much work, too hard. It's easier just to eat the ice cream. Just eat the ice. Just give me another piece of pie, and it's okay.
I mean, listen, that's absolutely the truth. It's definitely not a lie. It really is just better. And it's more fun. It's just easier and more fun just to eat that stuff and just be happy.
Yeah,
I'll worry about it later.
I mean, look, honestly, the problem is the stuff tastes good. If it didn't taste good, guess what? We wouldn't eat it. And we wouldn't have the problem that we have, right?
Truth.
I mean, and they do say that this... Like, if you watch, like, say, footage that was taken on the street in, like, 1920 in New York and then compare it to what's happening today in that same area, they immediately point out that you seldomly see an overweight person in 1920. Not to say that they didn't exist. Yeah. They did, but they didn't exist in the numbers across all demographics that they do now. Younger people, people were much more fit. I don't know if they were like all Adonises and can run the Olympiad or something like that, but they were thinner because they didn't have all that extra stuff in the food. And there was, maybe food tasted like crap at the time. I don't know. I mean, things taste good. That's the problem. Change it.
It is.
If
It
it's-
is, man.
If it
It
goes
is.
back to tasting like cardboard, then we won't eat it. That's all I can tell you.
Another problem is too, it's so expensive to eat healthy. I mean, that's a huge part of what we're doing in this country today. It's so hard to eat healthy. It really is, man.
Oh, it is. It's crazy. I mean, fruit prices are out
Ugh,
and it's just
ridiculous.
I mean, it's just crazy. I don't understand it. I mean, and again, anyone that's listened to this show, or if you're a touring artist, or if you've just been on the road, you know that it's difficult to eat well when you're on the road. Finding correct choices because of the weird times that you eat.
Yep.
It's like you said, it's costly. A lot of bands have a very limited budget, if they have a budget at all. I mean, listen, I've been on the road with no budget, and I know you have too. Okay, we're on the road. Let's do it. You're not you got $3 in your pocket. You don't know. You have no idea. You figure that $3 is going to get you, it ain't going to get you anything now, but, oh, what, I got to pay for gas? Yeah, well, how do you think we're going to get here? We got to eat? What are you talking about? But even with a good budget, unless you're, Aerosmith or something like that, you're not getting, or Kiss, you're not getting craft services backstage. We played Belgium, and part of the deal was they were going to, provide us food. And we were like, oh, this is exciting, right? I mean, what was nice about that European tour that we did, we actually had food worked into the whole thing all the way through. Some meals were unbelievable. Like too much. And then we had this place in Belgium. So they bring in all this stuff, and we're excited because we're hungry, because we've already been on the road. And it's French fries covered in mayonnaise.
Oh.
And it's bags of some kind of off Dorito brand type stuff, and it was weird stuff like that, right? I'm like, oh my god. First of all, I didn't realize that French fries and mayonnaise, smothered in mayonnaise, you know how they do here, they do cheese and fries, or cheese fries or whatever.
Yeah.
No, this was a thing there. I'm like, oh man. First of all, I'm not a mayonnaise fan. Listen, 70s, 80s, I realized that it was all over the place, growing up. But I was never a huge mayonnaise fan. I was, mustard ketchup kind of guy. But I was like, oh, man, if we don't eat it, that's insulting. They were real excited about it, And, and again, if you've been to Europe, you can't find just, water. It's got to be non-gas, half gas, quarter gas, from my ass, that kind of stuff. It was just I had no idea what that was. I was just like, what are you talking? You want some water? Yeah. And you go, whoa, what is this stuff? It's like being at the Manicure Club and they're feeding you seltzer water. It's like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about? That's another thing, too. I don't know how that generation drinks seltzer water. Where do you get that?
It's awful. It's super disgusting.
Straight
super
seltzer
disgusting.
water. They buy the cases of those bottles and they're sipping it like it's what do you talk? What is that? What do you do? It's seltzer. I remember I was like, oh my god, what is this stuff? What's the matter with you people? Are you AI?
Listen, the only thing seltzer water should be used for is those comedy variety shows where they squirt each other.
Yeah. But right, because back in the day, with the spray thing, that was just to kind of spice up your drink a little bit or water it down, right?
Yeah, water it down.
That's what ice was for. I don't know. But then somebody says, hey, we could drink this straight. What? Now I see, and again, I'm probably way behind on the times, but they have flavored seltzer water. That's really going to help.
That's
that's really going to help.
It doesn't change it.
No.
So it's a drink that sucks with a hint of strawberry.
Exactly. It's terrible, man. Terrible. I remember the old folks, that Greatest Generation. Maybe.
Yeah, man.
They would drink it
Yeah, dude.
I don't know if it was this cross culture. But, I grew up in an Italian family. They drank it like it was going out of style. They had stock in it.
Yep.
Is the company going out of business? Is this why we're stocking it? What's the story here?
So true, bro. When we first went to Germany for the first time, we went in the dead heat of July, and we were playing this big festival. And the promoters put us up at a bed and breakfast kind of place run by this older couple that, the husband spoke no English and the wife spoke broken English. Anyway, we had never been there before. So she was like, hey, you guys want breakfast the next day? And we're like, yeah. And I remember getting up and I remember coming downstairs and me and my drummer were like, oh, I can't wait for breakfast. And we're like, well, that's weird. We don't smell bacon or eggs. And, Germany, they eat is lunch meat. I'm
Right.
like, we're trying to, we're all trying to watch what we eat because, we got a couple of shows and, I don't want to feel all bloaty and awful. I'm like eating at 9 a.m. I'm eating like lunch meat and bread.
Yep.
And then we go to the festival that's on this big festival grounds. And there's all these food places and everybody's cooking burgers and sausage. And there's like a big bread maker and a fire pit. The dude's like baking these big loaves of bread and ice cream trucks. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be, and they don't use ice.
Right.
I'm a big ice drinker. I love a lot of ice. No ice. So this is awful.
Yeah. No, I know. We were in Hamburg and
Yep.
we had breakfast. And me and T got up early and like I go, you want to go down for breakfast? I go, yeah. And I go, and then we could always do a second one when the other guys go. He's like, yeah. So we're down there real early and it's like, it's a deli. Now listen, I don't have a problem with
It's a deli.
but it was weird stuff.
Not 9 a.m. in the morning either.
And like hard breads and I was like, okay, this is like some kind of something worst. Whatever it was something worst. Right? So, and I was like, I wouldn't know the difference if you slapped me in the face with it, like with a cold cut.
Yep.
Like a Three Stooges skit or something. I'm like, all right, let's just try. I mean, and they would pack anything into this meat.
Yeah.
I wasn't even sure what it was. There could have been seltzer water in it for all I know. I don't know.
Yeah, Germany, and they had amazing food, but definitely if you're not trying, if you're trying to watch your weight when show day,
No.
Trying to wait, it doesn't work.
No. And you're right with the no ice thing. I was like, oh man,
dude, in the heat of July, bro.
Well, we were there in August, so I know. I mean, nothing like a diet soda that's screaming hot. And no air conditions, no fans.
Nope. We literally, me and my guitar player shared a room. We literally slept with the window open. Bugs were flying in, and I literally had to sleep face down with my head between the wall and the bed because I knew there was going to be bugs in the morning. And there, mosquitoes, flies, whatever. And it was just window open, sweating, it was super fun. But at the time, I'm like, oh my God. Thank God I'm in Germany because I would have gone home at this point.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no air condition, few fans. And then the gentleman that owned the bread and breakfast, he did go get a bag of ice for us.
Because when we stayed in Hamburg, it was kind of like an in-between travel thing. We all stayed in one room. There was no air condition. We go to the front desk. We go, do you have a fan? He had no idea what that was. We had to explain it.
Yeah.
So like 2 hours later, he comes back with this thing from, I don't know, the 1920s, steel blades. It could have been a propeller on the B-52 bomber. No protection. And this thing is just...
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy, man. Yeah, like you said, windows open, bugs flying. It was just crazy. But, I mean, it was one heck of an experience. But you go, man, you don't realize sometimes the conveniences that you have compared to other. Now, again, I mean, like, if we were born and bred there, it wouldn't make a difference. That's why I think when sometimes people come to America and they go, man, you guys got this and you guys got this and we have excessive living and stuff like that. And maybe we do, maybe we don't. I don't know, but it's also relative to the culture.
Yeah,
listen, those experiences make you appreciate, one, other cultures, and two, what's happening in your own nation. And maybe you would think that if more people would do it, one, it would help the economy, but it would also make people understand that, hey, we need to keep these standards. There's a reason. And maybe they would treat other people better, and we would have programs in place to help other people, and we wouldn't worry about whether a band from the early 80s is doing an AI cover for their latest album or not, right? We'd find more important things to worry about.
Can always count on you to turn things around.
Yeah, I got to bring it back to social importance. Social importance.
It's Russ the Boss.
This is Stephen Pearson from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
I want to ask you a quick question since we were talking about being overseas. What was the best place that you had food? Like for me, like all the times I've been overseas, like I always tell people the best food I ever had, and nothing against Germany, Peru was what it was. Best food I ever had was when we were in Japan. That food was unbelievable to me. Does anything stick out to you?
Yeah, when we first arrived in Europe, we played in Belgium. I can't remember exactly where, but we were about an hour outside of France. So we were pretty much on that coastal area. The next day, the woman who was putting us up, now it was later in the day because we had arrived, played, and didn't get to where we were supposed to stay until like 4 in the morning. So it was like almost at a lunch thing. She had put together this, it was like a whole deli thing from the local butcher, which was just amazing. They had some kind of spread there, which I think they called it the Americana or something like that, but that was really cool. But the other one that stands out is we played a festival in Hagen in Germany, and they provided food for the band. They had these buttered vegetables, and they had these mashed potatoes, and there was a meat, and it was just, there was a certain kind of pasta. I'm just going to call it a pasta because that's what, you know, kind of like an antipasta type of thing. It was just amazing food. This was served just for the bands. It wasn't served to the public. It was so tasty. I mean, it was just cooked.
Interesting.
It was just amazing stuff, man. Unfortunately, some of the worst I ever had was in the UK, but
well, the last place you think would be bad, right?
yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people talk about it and all, but, you know, about, like, it not being that great food. And I sampled a variety of food in the UK. Now, I do have to say that the last night that we played in the UK on the most recent tour, we were in Bristol, and we found this little, basically, hole-in-the-wall place. It was, I don't know, about a mile and a half from the venue that we were at. We actually walked down to it, and we had fish and chips. And it was just amazing. I mean, again, just hole-in-the-wall type of thing. Like, I don't know if the standards would have been the same here, but, you know, you figured, well, when in Rome, what are you going to do? They served the fish and chips with some peas. It was like mushed peas or something. I thought I was eating gold. It was the amazing taste. It was just incredible. So the peas stand out to me. It was a giant piece of the fish, like a cod type of thing. And that was the only food that really stood out. We were in Newcastle. And again, I don't want to talk bad about people in the UK and, you know, whatever. But when you're here on the East Coast in America, you got some of the best pizza in a tri-state area. I'm just sorry to say.
Hands down. Hands down.
And again, I grew up in an Italian family, and my grandmother would make homemade pizza, and it was just like, you know, out of this world.
Yeah.
But we were in Newcastle upon Tyne, a bigger city. We went to a New York-style pizzeria, and it just, I'm not even sure what it tastes like. I can't tell you what it tastes like. You know, we had the Frankie Goes to Hollywood slice and some, you know, some standard. So we sampled a bunch of stuff, and from a distance it looked good, but taste-wise, man, it just missed the mark. My question was, did these guys ever go to New York? Or they're just picking something up that they seen on a TV show and, you know. But
listen, you can't get good pizza in Florida.
I've heard that, yeah. I mean, but here's what I've learned, that regardless of the quality of pizza, it always sells. Like, because I've been in some places here in the U.S., and pizza's like, people are like, you got to try pizza here. And we go, and then you know, again, if you've had pizza in New York or Philadelphia, Jersey, that tri-state thing, you're like, guys, have you ever had the pizza? Have you ever had real pizza? There's people that swear by Pizza Hut. And I have not had Pizza Hut since, I don't know, the 80s, you know, when they actually had TV commercials.
Me neither.
But I've been in places where that was the only pizza place.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, I guess any of us could grow to love the pizza that we're exposed to or that we were privy to because there's nothing else around. And I think being from this area, Philadelphia, Jersey, New York, you have some of the best pizza, in my opinion, ever. And I've had deep dish from Chicago, and I wasn't that super impressed. Now, maybe I just had a bad batch of it. But,
me neither.
You know.
No, me neither. No, because when I played Chicago one time, we went and got it because we were like, oh, you know, we're in Chicago, we got it. And we were like, yeah, this doesn't.
Yeah, I
mean, it was good, but it wasn't like, I don't know what the big deal is.
Exactly. Like, I'll just eat 3 more slices and kind of, you know, it works for me.
Let me try another one and see if this
let me try another one. I'd rather eat more of what I like than...
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Totally.
You are listening to the Cosmick Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
All right, man, you ready to get to the topic?
Yeah, let's do it, brother. Let's do it.
All right, so the topic of this show is Big Fish, Little Pond, Are You Stuck? Big Fish, Little Pond, Are You Stuck? Well, we've been hitting around to this episode all season, and Chris has been dodging it as if I was throwing knives at him at a carnival. What's it mean to you?
You know, it's funny because it's not the big fish, little pond. It's the are you stuck that really stands out to me. You know, and I'd said it before on this show. I really thought, and I mean, I would have sold my soul to this. I really thought that after COVID, I felt that COVID would put all the bands, put everybody on a parallel line, and then we would all start from scratch. I thought the industry would get better. I thought that it'd be easier to do, you know, to travel, to do more shows. I just thought that it would just change and put everything down to a level playing field other than, you know, the big guys in terms of like, you know, the nationals. But on our level, I just thought it was going to get better for all of us. And well, it didn't. It actually got worse. And now I feel like there's so many bands out there and we're all competing for the same thing. The better shows and the clubs of you and I have talked about this off the air. You know, there's so many clubs now that are closing and now you got more bands, less places to play. So everybody's stuck. Everybody's stuck. And I don't necessarily know if people realize how difficult it is, especially lately. It's just getting harder for all of us to even just do a local show. And, you know, like I said, there's so many bands came out of the woodwork. And, you know, I feel like even just in the past 5 or 10 years, like it's just gotten unbelievable. I remember, you know, we could play on a Thursday night at midnight and there, you know, I mean, we joke about it, but, you know, there were times where I'd go to a show on a Thursday night and see the band at midnight and the place would be packed. And now, you know, you have to play at like 7 or 8 for 8 o'clock on a Saturday with the moon full and the 70-degree weather at a bar with a big parking lot. Maybe you'll get, you know, half the place filled. But I don't know, man. It's super frustrating to me. I do feel that a lot of us are stuck, especially a lot of the bands that have been doing it for a long time. I try to say to myself, we're all in it together. But honestly, sometimes I wonder if it's a young man's game. If, you know, us older guys just aren't, how do I put it? You know, I feel like we're kind of being, listen, there's a lot of great younger talent out there. There is. But without us older guys, these younger acts just, they're not getting it. We're the teachers and they're the students, but they're not listening to the teachers, right? Like, I'm not saying you have to do it our way, but learn from us. We've all been there. We've all done it. But it's just been crazy, man. The industry has changed so much and it's been for the worse. It's not even for the better. I think that we're all stuck. Just think we're all spinning our wheels. I really do. And I don't mean that as like, oh, I think everybody should hang it up and quit. I just feel that right now we're in this rut. It could change. It may burst out. We've all been through this before. I just expected it to be a different scene when we came out of COVID, and it totally didn't go the way I expected. It started to, and then it just started to crumble. And it just seems like it's crumbling every day. More places are closing, and it's getting harder for all of us. It really is. Even traveling now, my goodness, you can't even travel. I mean, so expensive to even do anything. Travel with a band, let alone just go on vacation with your family. Like, oof, you know, you got to save for a couple of years to just go on a Jersey Shore vacation. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I totally agree with all that. I mean, I think that the big fish in a little pond is both a state and it's also a mentality.
Okay.
I think a lot of us are right now. We're kind of stuck because the opportunity in the industry is diminishing, or it has diminished.
Yeah.
We're lacking. We're lacking in a lot of opportunity, a lot of things that seem to be a little bit more available pre-COVID. Now, the industry has been changing rapidly even before COVID, and things were starting to tank here and there, and we've talked about that. Everybody's aware of that. But I think that the state that we're in is not leaving us much room or any room to advance people's career. There just isn't. There isn't scouts out there looking for bands. I don't care what people say. There's a lot of independent guys saying, oh, I'm starting a record company and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But again, these aren't necessarily record executives, people that are already in the business. A lot of them are just fans or people with some extra money that figure, oh, I want to be in the record business. I want to be in the music business. And I've met label guys that have made that decision based on that because they were fans or super fans or whatever. You know, it was an opportunity for them to hang around with rockers or their favorite stars or whatnot. And then they realize there's a lot more work because you got to deliver for the band. I mean, if a label's going to take all this stuff from you, they have to deliver something to the band. Otherwise,
yeah.
they're not making out, and definitely the artist isn't making out for anything on any level. So I think that with the changeover in the scenes, and listen, let's be honest, original acts are struggling at all levels. Now, again, if you have more audience-friendly, generic-type stuff, acoustic acts, folk acts, duos, you're playing more contemporary, adult-oriented rock, that AOR stuff, whatever that means. That's a broad term. You have a little bit more opportunity to play places than you would if you have rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and such. But you have even more opportunity if you are a band that's a tribute act, a cover act, a mixture of the two. You have more places to play. You have more opportunity to play.
Yeah.
Where, again, the original acts, and in our case, hard rock, heavy metal, and so on, have less.
Yeah.
There are venues that I have talked to the owner. They have eliminated hard rock, heavy metal nights altogether because they're not bringing in numbers.
Brother, so I was supposed to go to a show last weekend in Jersey. A bunch of friends were playing, a couple bands, guys that I know very well. The club literally canceled. The show was on a Saturday. It'd been booked for weeks. They literally canceled Thursday night because they were hard rock, heavy metal. Assuming the promoter, when he booked the show, I don't know if he didn't tell the club. I don't even know if he ever thought he had to. And I guess when the club was going to post on their Facebook page that they had a show Saturday night, maybe they looked into it, saw they were metal bands. Nope. Not even have the show because it's Thursday and the show is Saturday. Not even try it. If it doesn't work out, then you definitely don't do it again. But what happens if that show would have done really well? I'm not saying this venue would have booked metal shows every month, but what happens? Maybe once in a while, like you literally didn't even give it a chance. So, instead, and we talked about it. Me and a couple of guys from the bands talked about it over last weekend. They probably got a DJ, but they literally got rid of their entertainment Saturday night. Like on a Saturday night, you literally cut your entertainment. They probably hired a DJ, but still, why wouldn't you give it a shot? What's the worst thing that could happen? Your locals are going to come in no matter what. So, I've played many bars before where the locals came no matter who was playing. Maybe the door guy knew they were locals and didn't charge them, or they did charge them and the locals didn't care. They would pay. 95% of those times, the locals paid, or the door guy didn't let them pay. Whatever the case may be, they didn't care. They were there to drink and have a good time. And for whatever reason, 2 days before the show, venue canceled the whole thing.
I've been at shows where there's an entry fee and people come in and the door person goes, "Who are you here to see?" And he goes, "I'm not here to see anybody. I just came to drink." And they don't have to pay. So you could have a number of people at the bar, whatever the case. Again, the state, I think, is providing us not a lot of cushion and not a lot of hope. There's a lot of, this is where we're at. So that big fish, little pond mentality is creeping up for people because they're trying to hold on to whatever little opportunity that they have or that may exist. Because like you've said, if there's only 4 venues in an area that are booking for Saturday night and there's 20,000 bands, well, say there's 4 bands per show. Yeah. Just, that's 16 bands. Look how many bands are left over that don't have anything to do that Saturday night. And we talked about this in other episodes. There's local venues. Yeah. They're already booked out into next year, which is just eliminating. And some of those books are rebooks of the same bands, just spaced out somewhere else. If you think about it, the percentage goes down even further for your opportunity to play out.
Yep.
And then if you're not doing covers, if you're not doing a tribute act, if you're a hard rock, heavy metal, your numbers go down even more. It just starts dropping. So that big fish, little pond state is preventing people from getting further out. And then that state is converted into this mentality. And they don't even see it. They just think that the big guy's on campus. We're getting these shows. We're bringing these people in. Well, listen, the cycle with bands, as time goes on, unless you make it, you're bringing in less and less fans every time. You're just a local. Yeah. That gets old. And sooner or later, new blood comes in and takes your place.
Yep.
That's why that big fish, little pond mentality, you can't grasp it because it's short-lived. And I've said it before, it usually stems from a lack of wanting to actually do something with your career. You take the easy road. As soon as you get whatever, let's just keep doing that. The hell with everything else. We're not worried about this. We're not worried about that. The beauty about the modern day music industry, modern day music scene, I should say, it's worldwide. We have the ability to connect and share worldwide. We didn't have that in the 80s. It didn't exist. It didn't exist in the 70s. Right. And even then, it only happened in certain larger markets. It wasn't as accessible. So why not play that bigger thing? I mean, a lot of people, big fish, little pond, because they don't want to deal with the rejection. And what if people don't like me? Well, they're not going to like you. But you got a better shot at longevity. Because if you're hinging everything on playing the local scene, it just isn't going to be enough. Because what happens, I know some people, I've seen some bands, I'm not going to mention any names, but different markets, that every couple years, they're in another new band. And it's really like maybe the same 2 or 3 guys. They just bring in somebody new, they change the name, they write a couple new songs, but they pepper in some of the old songs. What they're doing is they're recycling, rebicycling, or something like that they call it, to give themselves a cutting edge. But it's diminished returns, because people quickly realize, hey, it's the same band. It's the same band doing the same stuff, and they're getting older. Listen, I recently was told, they said, listen, we're going to start phasing out aging bands. And I go, oh, they just don't draw. And you know what? The truth of the matter is, he's probably right. Listen, we talked about this before, man. This is a young man's game. Like, you got to have your finger on the pulse. You got to give the audience something that they want. Do they want to see a bunch of senior citizens up there? Well, yeah, maybe in certain venues. But people 35 and up, they're going out less and less. 35 and below, they're going out. Not that they have necessarily, especially in this day, disposable income. They have disposable time. They have less responsibility. And according to some statistics, especially following COVID in the aftermath of it, younger people are taking less and less commitment now to anything. They don't understand what the point is. I got to go to work for what? I got to work 40 years for a company that's just going to get rid of me, and they're not going to give me something. Healthcare's out. I got to pay for healthcare. I'm not getting good coverage. I'm being underpaid for a job that was getting 25% more 10, 15 years ago, but they're paying me less now. They're giving me more work, paying less. There's no room for advancement. They figure, what's the point? They're figuring, what's the point? They're growing up in a society that rights could be taken away, or people's ability to do something, so they're saying, what's the point? And the counterculture to that is like, hey, they make this as a meme joke, but hey, you know what? Buy the tickets. What difference does it make? Eat that piece of cake. Buy those cookies. And if you don't want them, get rid of them, because it doesn't matter. Like, there's that doesn't matter mentality anymore. You're seeing it. You're seeing it everywhere. It's really diminishing people's spirits. And the same thing's happening in the music. And I'm seeing the bands that think that they have this upper leg are holding as tight as they can to it because they know it's short-lived. The problem with that is, in my opinion, is already, like you talked about, there's a huge divide among musicians. There always has been. It's even worse now.
Definitely worse now.
Younger bands don't want anything to do with older bands, and older bands got more hang-ups with younger bands than you could shake a stick at. And it's and some of it's warranted. Listen, some of it's warranted, and some of it's not.
Yeah.
That's where I think that the mentality, listen, the state, we're all involved. It's kind of like, listen, you want electricity, you got to pay for it. So what are you going to do? You're going to live in the dark, or are you going to pay for it? Everybody's doing it. Now, if everybody was jumping off a bridge, would you do it? I don't know. Maybe. Depends on the day, right? But for electricity, it's something like, unless you're going to go live in a tent somewhere, dude, more power to you. But for the rest of us, we're going to, you know, so is it a necessity? No, but it's a convenience that makes sense if you're trying to live a less stressed life.
Yeah.
But like with bands, if we would just connect a little bit more and pool our weight together, the venues would have to change. The industry would have to change. And we said this at the beginning of the season, and we're in episode 21 now. And I realize there's guys that do podcasts every single day, and they, 15 times a day, and they got, 60 times more episodes. Well, we don't do stuff like that. We're actually working individuals. We do things. We don't just sit in our basement. I do on a Sunday, but, other than that, I don't sit in my basement. But the point is if we pulled our weight together, the venues would change, and they would give us back metal nights. If we pool our audiences together, like we used to do back in the old days, bands would have somebody to play in front of. If original bands would pool together and actually be more professional, tribute and cover acts wouldn't have top billing. They just wouldn't. I don't have a problem with them. I don't. Because I have a cover song now that I occasionally throw in my set. Why not? I've already proven myself, and if somebody says that I haven't, I don't really care. I got hundreds of songs that I've released. I've got plenty of albums and EPs, and we've talked about this before. I don't have backing tracks. I play. I have my own music. Why not? If it's a song I enjoy, I don't want to just play a cover song just to play a cover song. I've talked to bands. We got to throw something into people like, well, and then what do people do? Everybody starts throwing in Ace of Spades. Yeah. I've heard so many, and that's what they're in. Yeah. How many? Come on, guys. Why don't you pick a song that you like and enjoy it? Make it your own. Okay. And that's my mentality. They want the people there. They want the accolades. And some of these guys are getting paid. Listen, you know it. I've talked to some bands. They'd cover 3 hours, play 3 sets with some breaks. They get $1,000 or more. Yeah. So if a venue's putting out $1,000, you know that they're bringing people in. That bar is making a lot of money. Yeah. I understand the business, but if we pool our resources together and give them that business, it would help our scene. And you're right. Back in the day, they would have bands every night, and it'd be packed. Yeah. I remember going to the Empire for that all ages on Sunday. The place was packed. Packed.
I remember playing the Telford Inn in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Headliner didn't go on till midnight, and we played till 1:30, 2 o'clock. And the place would be packed with people.
Packed with people. You would keep audiences. What's happening is, by 11 o'clock, places are emptying out. By 10:30, they start to thin. I see it. I recently played a national show. By 10:30, quarter of 11, that crowd was starting to thin out. And this was during the headliner. People get tired. People get whatever. They have a limited budget. Listen, I've never been a bar guy. I'm not a drinker. I don't do. If you don't have the funds to keep filling your glass, what's the point of staying at a bar if you're a drinker? And most places, they're not serving food. So it makes it, whatever. And if they are serving food, the prices are outrageous. I had somebody complain. They're like, man, the beer here is like, I could have bought a case for what I paid for 2 drinks. It's like, well, everybody's trying to cover their end. Again, going back to, if we pull our weight together, our resources, we bring back a scene together. Everybody benefits. Benefits. Yeah, you're always going to have those top-tier guys. It existed back in the day, right? Back in our day. There were top-tier bands. And those top-tier bands would help support the next level under them, who became top-tier bands after a while. It was like a cycle, right? You're built. Listen, bands always came and went. Always came and went. Members exchanged, members left, whatever. But there was that thing that worked. It was it was almost an unwritten rule. It was the system. It was that circle of success. There's no circle of success now. There's bands that they don't come till close to their set time. Nobody wants to share stuff. You try to talk to people. They're angry at you, and you don't even know them. Like I said, they have that big fish. Oh, I'm the top guy on the field today. Whatever, dude. You're playing the same venue. Yeah, you may be later in the lineup. Whatever. You know what I mean? You had to sell tickets to be here. You're doing the same thing, dude. You're doing the same thing. And then
you're doing the same thing we're doing.
Yeah, doing the same thing. The only difference between me is I take my show out on the road and I fall flat on my face in another country or another state, or I'm on the West Coast falling on my face. That's the difference. So, you know what I mean? It's actually crazy, but it's sad at the same time, because we talked about it at the beginning of the season. The model has to change, and it has to change with the artist first. And then everybody has to get on board. And then sooner or later, everything's going to have to change because the artist has changed. But the artist isn't going to change. The people that do change, there's going to be a few of us out there that are changing, and then we're going to be left in the dust because we're not playing ball with them. And after a while, these bands, because the system is built to last, everybody else that's involved in it comes and goes. Bands will die out. Younger bands get older, so do their fans. They're like, I'm not going out. And now you're in the same boat that the rest of us are.
Yep. Yeah.
The truth of the matter is we're all aging bands. At some point, we're all aging bands. And if you're looking for longevity, you're going to be an aging band, an aging artist. And someone's going to tell you at one point or another, they're phasing you out. You don't fit the bill, you don't look the part, you don't sound the sound, you're not bringing in the money. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you think? What would you do? What would you say to somebody that says, listen, I'm aging out, I don't have the numbers that some of the younger people do, but then again, listen, if they had those numbers too, they'd be playing other places. They take the show on the road. They would be doing greater things. And we talked about it in the season. We had an episode on it. It's inflated numbers everywhere. Inflated number. My Facebook numbers have been sitting the same for years. They will not move because nobody wants to like anything. That's it. They just don't move. I remember when they were rising, but Facebook, in terms of, like it, that's passé now. Nobody cares about that. Yeah. Well, what would you tell people? What would you say?
Man, the only thing I could think of off the top of my head, and I'll probably think of something more valuable later on today, I think I would just tell them, the only way out is through. I've been fighting this fight for many years, and I've accomplished some great things, and I've only accomplished those things because I never stopped. I just keep moving forward and figuring out other ways, right? I mean, that's why we have this show. That's why we do it. I would just tell them to keep moving, man, and just make those opportunities. If you're not getting them, then make them. Figure it out. Go outside the box, man. There's a lot of do-it-yourself shows happening now. Find a place you can do a show. My advice probably would be just keep going and figure it out. And eventually things will happen. May not be happening in abundance, but you'll get little shines of bright light, I think.
Yeah, I would say something very similar. Like, again, if this is something that you want to do, you're passionate about, you enjoy doing, then just keep doing it. Do it to the best that you possibly can. Be as professional as you possibly can. We are hoping that things turn around. By 93, 94, hard rock, heavy metal that we were familiar with died. As the grunge and alternative scene came in, that became the thing that people, I don't know if they wanted to hear, they were being forced to hear, but they accepted it.
Yeah.
And it became a huge moneymaker. It changed the look, it changed the attitude, it changed the sound. You can either go with the flow, those that were around. Remember, so many bands from the 80s changed their sound or their approach. Motley Crue did it, tried to be a little bit more alternative, grungy. Kiss did it.
Yeah.
Right? Bands were doing that. Two of the bands that basically stayed what they were doing at the time were Aerosmith, because Aerosmith ruled throughout the 90s in terms of the hits that they were generating, right? But they were never really a heavy metal band. They were a hard rock and roll band. And Guns N' Roses kept a pretty good state for a while until they kind of imploded. And then Slash went on and did his thing. There was a hard rock alternative type of flow to it. So, you know what Slash did? Slash started playing with everybody and their mother to stay out there, lending his lead guitar skills, which actually solidified him as one of the top 50 great guitar players. And there's people that will debate that. They'll debate that. Ted Nugent's one of them. He'll definitely debate it because he never made the list. He actually is a phenomenal guitar player.
He is a great guitar player.
I think that more has to do with his political over and undertones than it has anything to do with anything else. He's definitely rubbed people the wrong way. But again, Slash stayed relevant. Velvet Revolver was on Michael Jackson stuff, played with this person, did this, guest starred here, featuring, whatever. He walked away from Guns N' Roses and made something more of himself. He didn't just live off of the mystique of Guns N' Roses, kind of like Axl did for 20 years. 20 years in Chinese democracy hell type of thing. You know what I mean? And so he stayed relevant. When he stepped back into Guns N' Roses, it made sense. And those fans that he picked up in that 20-year turn of doing his own thing came along with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He could have easily done and just disappeared and says, listen, I was in Guns N' Roses. That's it. I did this, I did that. No, he did his own thing, and it didn't have to be him. I mean, he started another band. People knew it was Slash's band, but at the same time, he showcased other musicians, did other things.
Yeah.
I mean, he did all that stuff with Miles Kennedy, too, right? Which just helped promote his career. It's kind of like paying it forward type of thing. Of thing. But I think really, man, that's what we need to do as a group, as a community of artists. That's how the model is going to change. But I would definitely say that you just got to keep hammering away at it. And as Chris pointed out, if you don't see opportunity, if you don't see doors that you can pick from, then you need to create it yourself. How you do that, I don't know. It's hit or miss. It really is. It all depends on what you want to achieve, what you're looking for, how much risk you're going to want to take, how much commitment you want to put into it, and how much this really means to you. And sometimes, and listen, we've talked about it all season. The last episode, the power plays, it may be just as easy as reaching out to somebody, sending them an email, sending them a message. They may or may not respond. Call them up. I think you can still call people up today. I think there's still some kind of operating phone system. Go to a show that you would normally not go to and talk to some people. Hey, man, you ever need a band? Yeah. We get done playing, bands then come up to us and go, hey, man, we need to do more shows together. Like, I'm meeting you for the first time. You want to do more shows together. Yeah, okay. Then you give them a call and you say, hey, I got this show coming up. They don't want to do it. It's too far. They don't want to be on that lineup. They don't want to play that time slot. I'm pretty transparent. Hey, listen, we need an opening act for this whatever. And it's always some members got something or they got to do this. But, keep us in mind for other shows. And what they're basically saying is keep us in mind when you do another national show. You know what I mean? We want to come on the big things. Well, it doesn't work like that, man. It doesn't work like that because I don't do national shows all the time. I can jump from playing the Whiskey to playing our favorite local, the Rusty Nail, all in the same week. Yep. And put on the exact same show with the exact same attitude. You know what I'm talking
100%.
About.
100%.
It doesn't matter. It's just a name. My set's still the same. It doesn't matter. It's just a name. My set is still the same.
Yep. Absolutely.
You want to go fishing and you ain't catching anything? Go get a bigger net. Go get a bigger boat. Get a bigger hook. You want to add anything else? You got something else to say?
No, dude, we covered it, man. I think we're good.
I think we're good, too. If you like that episode, check out some of our other episodes at www.thecosmicvoice.com. Step into the Cosmic Verse and get that bigger boat. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmic Voice. Be sure to check us out at thecosmicvoice.com. Like and follow us on Facebook at The Cosmic Voice. You can find The Cosmic Voice everywhere you listen to online podcasts, like Deezer, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, and so many more.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Mick and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes of The Cosmic Voice. And you can get in touch with us through thecosmicvoice.com and, of course, all of the Cosmic Voice social medias. Take care and be safe.
You're listening to The Cosmic Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.